Now we're going to look at some more examples of multiplying integers using the chip model, but these ones are going to be a little bit different based on the definition we've made so far. So reading this, we have -3 times 5, and we could say -3 copies or groups of 5. Now you may see that this is problematic because how do you take -3 groups? So three groups is easy to think of. We just take 3 groups of the 5 chips. But -3 is a little bit harder to think about. So the way we think of this instead is to use the idea of opposites from Unit 1B. We're going to say the opposite of three groups of 5. And let's highlight that. So basically, we're going to find 3 groups of 5 and then take the opposite with the chips like we learned how to do in the previous lesson. So let's fill this out. So we're going to write -3 groups, because that is the first number, and 5 in each group. But we're going to start by writing 3 groups of 5. And then in the second half of this box, I'm going to take the opposite. So the opposite is basically changing all the positive signs to negative signs. So the opposite is 3 groups of 5 negative chips. So this will be our final result, 15 negative chips, or -15. So let's write this as repeated addition and multiplication. So for repeated addition, let's think of this as just how we wrote it here, the opposite of 3 groups of 5. And I'm putting the 5s in parentheses because we'll learn more about this later, but we added the 5 groups to, or the 5 plus 5 plus 5 together before we took the opposite. So we found all of the positive chips, then we took the opposite, so that's why we're putting parentheses here. Notice that this was equal to this result, which is 3 groups of -5 added together, which equals -15. Okay. Now writing this as multiplication, we'd say -3 times 5 equals -15. Let's look at the next one. So we have -3 times -5, or -3 groups of -5. And remember we said the groups of -5 isn't problematic because we could use negative sign. It's the -3 groups that's problematic. So we're going to find the opposite of three groups of -5. And again, let's highlight that so we remember what we're finding. Now we'll fill in the chart. There's -3 groups and -5 in each group. So first, we're going to find 3 groups of -5. And then here, we're going to take the opposite to find the result. So the opposite of a negative chip is a positive chip. So I'm going to make all of these chips positive. So this is our result. So let's write this as both repeated addition and multiplication. So we have the opposite of 3 groups of -5, so that's like this form. Take the opposite and add up negative 5 3 times, or find this result and take the opposite, and notice we found that this was equivalent to 3 groups of positive 5, or 5 plus 5 plus 5. In both cases, our end result is 15 positive chips. So, negative 3 times negative 5 is 15, or positive 15.